Hey, it's Marty from martyenglander.com, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing an up and coming product called WP Simulator. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So before we get started reviewing WP Simulator, currently it's not actually on the market, so I'm not able to get direct access to the actual product and start experimenting with it. But what I can do is kind of go over a little bit over the sales page, because I've managed to get early access to that, as well as the video of them illustrating, you know, how the software works, and also just let you know my thoughts on it. Now, if you would like me to purchase this software once it actually releases in the next few days, make sure you leave a comment below basically saying something lines of, Marty, go ahead and buy it, I want to see your review, and I will go ahead and do that you know, straight away and get it uploaded probably within 24 to 48 hours of you posting that. Okay, so what is WP Simulator? Well, WP Simulator allows people to have a full copy of their WordPress site running locally on their PC, laptop or Mac, so they can fully develop new and existing sites locally before making them live online, including testing out new plugins and themes for conflict problems, and setting up new themes correctly before migration. Okay, so that is actually a really useful description of what WP Simulator is. And if you want to know more about the pricing, as well as my traffic generation, bonus content when you buy this software, go ahead and click the link below this video, which will take you to my blog, and it will tell you all about the upsells and the one-time offers, and you know, basically everything you need to know about WP Simulator will be found on my blog. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the sales page, and then we're going to go over the video. Okay, so have you ever broke a live site by mistake, found creating sites annoyingly slow, had a site down because of bad hosting, had a plugin clash or a buggy theme, had a site broken by hackers? And if I'm going to be honest, I have probably around about 100 to 130 WordPress websites that I use for my own ventures and for clients. And when I first started, one of the biggest things for me was, you know, how slow it was, and also bad hosting as well. And I'd never really knew what the issue was until I started really improving my knowledge. And yeah, these things happen all the time, and it happened to me all the time. And it was only once I became, you know, I started using better tools and better hosting that these things stopped working. But so many people get caught out with like £1 hosting and stuff like that, and we never really know what the issue is until we improve our knowledge. And a lot of the time it really is these points right here are the biggest culprits for websites having problems. So it's nice that they've identified that issue straight away. I have to admit, the sales page in its own right isn't that great, but all in all, you know, still, as long as the product's good, that's all I care about. So we've got the video here that we're going to go over shortly. There's some more information about the owners. Okay, so that's good. So there's two of them. I'm Matt Garrett. I've been professional niche marketer and blogger for over a decade. Okay, so he's got a lot of experience with WordPress websites. I'm Alex Copeland, and along with Matt, we run SEOUK. I've definitely seen them around. So he's also been a professional marketer for 6 years. So these guys clearly have a lot of experience in marketing, and when you're messing around with marketing, you tend to be able to build little websites and stuff like that. Okay, and usually when you're marketing, you're really more about optimizing and making sure that everything's flowing correctly than, you know, like the hardcore techie stuff, which is why these guys are probably come to the conclusion, look, here's the issue and here's a quick way to solve all of these things. So hackers are a massive thing, especially when it comes to spam scripts. So what I can see here is just them pointing out all the problems that you can have with a WordPress website, as well as some testimonials. And what's quite nice is that this isn't like, it doesn't take you an hour to read it. It's actually not that long at all. I mean, it's more just images and some big text, which is why the page is so long. So it won't take you long to get through this at all, and I think they're getting straight to the point. And speaking of getting straight to the point, let's go ahead and just jump onto the actual video, because this is where, you know, most people are just going to watch it, and this is where we're going to decide whether or not it's going to be worth the money or not. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump to the video. Okay, so let's start watching.
Hi, let me ask you a quick question. If your site got hacked, or if your web host went bankrupt or disappeared tomorrow, how quickly could you get your website back up and running? Do you even have a backup?
That's actually a really good point, and the text came on screen before I could actually say anything, is that, you know, if your website does go down, or if your hosting company does go bust, you know, have you actually made backups of your website? Okay, because without a backup, or if a plugin goes wrong and it's messed up your site, how are you going to roll it back if you've not taken these precautions? So you can ultimately get into a lot of trouble, either with your own ventures or if you're hosting it for a client. You know, just the mere fact that you've not backed it up. I actually back up all my websites every single day, and if I've got an ecom website, actually almost every other hour.
Backup? And have you checked that it actually works? And then do you know how to deploy it back onto your live hosting? These are all
got a lot of experience doing this sort of thing, and you've taken the time to learn how to do it, you'll actually realize it's not that hard to do, but it is a little bit time consuming, because you've got to upload everything, you've got to change the config files, and so there is quite a little bit to it, and sometimes issues can just arise out of thin air. So, you know, these are really valid questions that, you know, they're not even salesy questions. They're questions that you should be asking if you have a website, especially if you have a website storing credentials. So it's really, really important, these sort of questions that so many people who jump into building websites often overlook.
All critical questions that you need to ask yourself. As I'm sure you've already discovered for yourself, WordPress is far from perfect, and developing your site live online where everyone can see your mistakes can be a disaster if you're working with clients.
It's true, actually. You know, if you're building a website or doing something for a client and you want to make little changes to it, you want to test it beforehand. So really a good practice is to create a duplicate. It's called a dummy site or demo site or staging site, and, you know, test everything on that before you implement it onto your main website. A lot of hosting providers are actually offering this sort of integration, but still, if you don't if you're not with a hosting company that offers these sort of things, then you don't really want your visitors looking at your site and seeing all these mistakes, or you accidentally pressing something and, you know, them getting away with something. It's not a good practice actually making edits to your live site before testing it.
Every change you make has the potential of breaking or messing up your site, putting off both your live visitors and the search engines like Google. Not exactly what you want. Oh, and don't even get me...
It's true, actually. More and more Google, if you know anything about SEO and, you know, ranking factors, Google actually, you know, ranks you better when your site is easy to follow, well structured, easy to read by humans, and Google bots. So making sure that it's all streamlined and it's all working, it's all easy to read, and it's not all buggy and weird looking, does have an impact on how you're ranking.
Started on when there's a WordPress update, which seems to be like every other week, and then the moment you run the
if you join any WordPress community, you will actually see over and over and over people saying, help, I've just updated my site, something's not working, it's got an internal error, it says error on the front, you know, what do I do? And you will actually get a feed of people taking the piss out of them, because, you know, and I don't think it's anything against the individual themselves, it's just the question is so common. And the reason is because WordPress sites are, you know, especially with the more are made out of modules, you know, like plugins and stuff like that. So there's loads of factors, and just because WordPress update their stuff, that doesn't mean all the WordPress plugins that you're using and all the WordPress themes that you're using have also updated to be compatible with the WordPress update. So, having a staging site or having a backup is really important before you implement the update.
Your blog is broken because of some plugin or theme conflict or glitch, and suddenly your site is down and you have no idea why or how to fix it or how long it's going to take to get back up and running. And what if you want to deploy a new theme? It's going to have all sorts of lovely new bells and whistles, but those come with their own setup headaches. You're going to need to spend a lot of time working on it live to get it all working correctly and looking just right. In the meantime, all your live visitors hitting your site are getting the impression that you and your company are a joke. Now think about this for a moment. Have you ever seen a professional web designer have these sort of problems? No, of course not. They all use localhost and get everything right before they deploy anything to their live site. And this is exactly what WP Simulator. We developed WP Simulator to make it easy for you to develop WordPress sites locally on your own computer in your own private environment, just like the pros. Now I've got good news and bad news for you. To use localhost so you can develop your sites locally, you simply need a free piece of software called XAMPP. That's the good news. Now the bad news. To get XAMPP working properly is highly technical, can be an absolute nightmare, and
it's actually true that it's unbelievably difficult to get these sorts of softwares up and running on your computer, because there's a whole bunch of configuration that you need to do, and often a lot of computers, without you even realizing, install things that kind of block the ports, or it really is a big headache. I actually think the number one reason people never really get to the point of creating local environments, local WordPress sites to test things on, is because of the barriers that these softwares naturally, put up front. And it is just an absolute headache. I've always found that in the past, and to be honest, when I finally got it up and running, I was just like, okay, not trying that again. It's there. I'm not playing around with it. And there's always that fear in the back of my head, oh, is something going to break, and am I going to have to go through that whole thing again?
Easily take a day or two firefighting different setup errors and glitches, which is exactly why most people never do it, and exactly why we developed WP Simulator, to help guide you through the minefield in the least possible time, taking only the steps you need to get fully up and running. And you spend another day actually doing it all and getting it set up. Then of course you have the
Okay, so what they're basically saying there is that they will set up the local environment for you. Well, the software does it for you, so we don't need to have that burden of setting up that really techie side of things. And if they've managed to do that, because I've seen a lot of companies say, oh, they develop some sort of software that is really one-click install and it's never really worked. But if WP Simulator say, think that they've managed to do that for us, then that's a big USP there, and that's worth its money in gold.
third day, which is going to be spent banging your head against a brick wall trying to work out where you went wrong, and then another day trying to fix it. Then you've got to get your head around how to clone a live site to your, and then how to clone it and deploy it as a live site back to your host. Or option number 2, with WP Simulator, you can be up and running in the next 100 yourself from any eventuality. And now you're working on your sites like a professional web designer. You have made sure you have complete control over all your valuable business assets, and you're no longer at the mercy of either your web host or hackers. WP Simulator upload online before you can even see whether it's worked or whether it's messed up your site. WP Simulator gives you anything on your site live until you are 100% happy with it.
What I like about this, and I'm actually surprised this site's been listed on like JVZoo and stuff, because you tend to find a lot of spammy products on JVZoo, or products that don't really do what they say. But this, it seems that this company, they're not using any like hardcore manipulative sale tactics or anything like that. They are actually saying hardcore issues that are still issues when it comes to building WordPress sites, and they're not trying to manipulate you into buying or anything. They are just generally going through the problems, and that's quite refreshing, because often I see so many companies playing on our desires, playing on our emotions, and never really going into detail about things, and it's always not a very pleasant journey. But these guys do seem to be hitting and giving you a lot of crucial information.
With WP Simulator, you can keep working backups of all your live sites locally. You can test any new themes and plugins you want without worrying they'll break your site. You can create whole sites offline to deploy later. You can fix problems locally and then simply redeploy the site. And you can test any new WordPress version, theme or plugin update before applying it to your live site. This is a true belt and braces system, giving you total peace of mind. This environment is what all the professional site developers use. Ask any pro developer and they will tell you they wouldn't develop a site without it. So why would you? Best of all, you can be up and running in minutes, as WP Simulator is so quick and easy to follow. And the quicker you act, the more you'll save.
Okay, so they're offering a 30-day guarantee, so that's always good. I mean, I would like to see more about the terms and conditions with this, but I've actually found as a whole, when it comes to WordPress plugins, that companies don't really bother with not trying to give you the money back or anything. They often just give you the money back without any hassle. Okay, so it was a little bit informative. One of the things that's really annoying when it comes to these sort of products is, why can't you just show, the products in action? Show us how it actually works. It's all good showing us a little sales pitch and telling us, all the things that we can, all of our problems, and that this product's a solution and stuff like that. But why not just show us how easy it is to install it, and how easy it is to configure it, and how easy it is to do what you're saying it can do? Okay, this sort of product should really only take 5-minute demo, maybe a bit longer, maybe a bit less, but definitely no more than 10 minutes. So that's quite frustrating. And again, it would be a little off-putting, because I kind of just want to see the back end and see how it all works. But nevertheless, they say that they can back up your site, make having staging sites locally really easy for you. And for some reason, I actually kind of believe it, and I kind of believe it because the whole page hasn't been spamming my hopes and desires and dreams and just really manipulative information. They've not been doing that. They've actually been fairly consistent and concise, and the whole pitch actually makes sense. And just by the questions that they're asking, about are you prepared for this, are you prepared for that, etc., it all is very much ongoing issues within when people are building WordPress sites or have built WordPress sites. No one ever thinks that their website's gonna get hacked until it's hacked. Okay, and then at that point, depending on how bad or severe the hack is, can get you into a lot of trouble, or it can cost you a lot of money. Backing up your site is really, really important, and managing your site is really important, and updating it and making sure it's all right before you go live and your visitors see it is also really important. So if there's an all-in-one tool that actually does these sort of things for you, then it is definitely worth a look investing in it. But like I said before, go ahead, click the link in my description. You'll find out all the pricing, one-time offers, upsells, downsells, everything you need to know about WP Simulator. And also, if you do support my channel by purchasing through my link, I will give you some bonus content all about traffic generation, more importantly, untapped traffic generation that's not so competitive, and it doesn't cost you really a penny to start driving mass amounts of traffic to your digital assets. And I'm going to give you that when you purchase this through my link. So go ahead, click the link in the description, and I'll see you next time.